Hi guys, welcome back to Firestorm Games and another episode of the Hobby Table. This time we're going to be taking a look at the new Great Unclean One miniature, which is the Greater Demon of Nurgle. And this is a miniature for both Warhammer 40k and also Age of Sigmar. And on the front of the box here we have a fully assembled and completed and painted Great Unclean One. And if I just flip this box over, you can see on the back we have some more examples of the painted Great Unclean One, some of the options that you get in this set, and also some painting advice at the bottom there. Now in this video I'm going to be building this particular miniature, talking about the options, the kit itself, and basically giving my general thoughts and feelings on this set. So let's open this box up and take a look at its contents. So first thing we get in the box is a 130mm base, and this gives you some clues as to just how large and bulky this miniature will be. This is actually bigger than all the other Greater Demons bases that we've had so far. Now we also get a booklet, which is an instruction guide on how to assemble your miniature, and also contains all the information regarding to the rules for both 40k and also Age of Sigmar as well. So it's all very useful. Everything is very clearly laid out. We've got diagrams or numbered components, coloured areas and where you should glue and where you shouldn't glue, things like that. So it's all very, very straightforward and helpful. Now the actual kit itself is spread over 3 sprues, and you can see the sprues that we have here. So let's get this miniature assembled and take a look at some of the components in more detail. Now we start off assembling this miniature by building up the core of the Great Unclean One. And this is the same regardless of whether or not you're building a generic Great Unclean One, and regardless of what options you're going for, or if you're going for the special character Rotigus. Now this base model that we're working on here contains the torso, the legs, and also the right arm up to the hand, and also the left upper arm as well. This is the exact same regardless of whether or not you're applying those variants. So it's actually a really good place to start off with. This is all contained on one sprue as well, which is really convenient because all the components are in one place. One of the things you may have noticed already about the components that I'm working with here is the size of them. They really are massive. In fact, the entirety of the front of the Great Unclean One comes as a single piece. This includes some of the upper arms, also the chest, and also the giant stomach as well. However, even though these components are pretty big, the amount of detail that we have on these areas really is impressive. We've got lots of little pustules, cracks in the skin, various folds in the skin as well. It really looks very Nurglish in its appearance, which is perfect considering this is one of the iconic miniatures for Nurgle's forces. One advantage of these large components is just how quickly you can actually build this miniature. A lot of these larger special characters take a long time to build as they have lots of small, finicky, interconnecting parts, but this is simply large parts with lots of detail on them that go together really quickly, which means your Great Unclean One will be assembled even quicker than some smaller characters such as Mortarion or even the Lord of Change. So whilst we're talking about building this miniature, let's just talk about how ingenious Games Workshop have been in creating this kit. So often when building your kits, the gaps that form when you press components together can be a real pain because you need to fill them in, you need to smooth them out afterwards. They just add to the overall building time that you're required when making your miniatures. However, this kit's designers have been very intelligent in where they place these seams. A lot of them are hidden in the various rolls of fat and skin that we have across our Great Unclean One. By having the seams this way, we save a vast amount of work having to fill in any gaps that might appear, which overall really it reduces the build time that we have for this Great Unclean One. So let's talk a little bit about the options that you get in this set. Now I've already briefly touched on the fact that you can assemble this as both a Great Unclean One and also the special character Rotigus. Now the components that allow you to assemble the variants that we have in the set are mostly focused around the weapon options, both the right hand and also the left hand, the head, and also the gaping stomach wound as well. For the Great Unclean One, the right-hand options that we get include the Doomsday Bell and also the Massive Bile Sword. Now that Massive Bile Sword really is huge. From blade to handle, it stands taller than the Great Unclean One, and probably taller than most miniatures in 40k. And for the left hand, we get the option of a Plague Flail or a Bile Blade. For the head options, we get a choice for head with antlers, which is very reminiscent of the Forge World Great Unclean One miniature, or we get another option which has a large tongue protruding from it, which reminds me of the old school Greater Unclean One miniature. In addition to all of those different weapon options, we also get a myriad of Nurglings that we can use to adorn our miniature. Now, these really are very characterful, they're very interesting to look at, and they include ones that sit on the base or they actually hang from the miniature itself. Now, these are entirely optional, you don't need to apply these, and personally, I'm going to be keeping these separate and making an army of them myself. Now to represent Rotigus, the components that we get for him include a gnarl rod, which is held in the right hand, and also foul tentacles which emanate from the left hand. We also get a hooded head option, which has maggots pouring forth from the open mouth, and also the open wound in the stomach is replaced with some teeth as well. And the great thing about all these options is they all are separate. They don't share any individual components, which means you can actually magnetize all of the options that you get in this set and easily switch your miniature around depending on what weapon options you wanted it to have or even which character you wanted it to represent. Unfortunately, there is one downside about this kit, and that is the lack of posability. Because this is a very complex kit to build and a lot of the components fit together very intricately, it's very difficult to change the posing of this miniature without excessive need for green stuff or resculpting of parts. Whilst this does potentially mean you could find yourself repeating poses and equipment across your Great Unclean Ones, the chances of running a full army of Great Unclean Ones are pretty slim, so I don't think this is going to be a massive problem for a miniature of this scale. So with the building of this miniature covered and also some of the various weapon options and choices we get in the set, let's finish this miniature off and talk about the overall quality of this kit. So here we have the finished Great Unclean One, and it really is a fantastic miniature to look at. Not only was it exceptionally fun to build, and also very easy to build as well because of the quality of those joins across all the components, but it also is chock full of detail. The amount of various gaping wounds, pustules, and other details that we have in the skin really are immense. In terms of aesthetics, this miniature really is spot on. You can definitely see where the influences come from, more so the Forge World variant of the Great Unclean One rather than the old miniature, even though there are a few small details which throw back to the old metal miniature. So overall, we get a really well thought out kit. The weapon options that we get in this set are pretty good, considering some of these larger miniatures don't often come with many options, and also the fact that you can build a character out of the set is also an added bonus. The level of detail that's gone into all of those open sores, pustules and other diseased-looking flesh items also make this miniature stand out in your Nurgle army. It's definitely going to be a focus point of any force. Now, whilst there are some limitations about the posing of this miniature, that's not a massive problem considering that you probably won't be fielding many of these in your force anyway. So if you're looking to pick up one of these miniatures for yourself, the RRP is £85, which puts it online with the Scarbrand Bloodthirster miniature that we already have. But it is available on the Firestorm Games web store for £72.25, and I'll include a link in the description below which takes you directly to the web store where you can pick up one of these miniatures for yourself. Now, if you enjoyed this episode of The Hobby Table, please do let us know in the comments below, and also make sure you hit that subscribe button to be kept up to date with all of our latest content. And so I just want to finish off by saying a huge thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you again on Firestorm Games.